We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Queer News Tonight celebrates LGBTQ+ Independence Day on June 28th to commemorate the 1969 Stonewall riots that ignited the global LGBTQ+ rights movement.
Former Congressman George Santos debuts an OnlyFans amid plans for a political comeback. Shall we get ready to see his drag persona?
The Supreme Court ruled against constraints on the interaction of government with social media platforms, setting a precedent for future content moderation challenges.
The musical From Here, debuting off-Broadway in NYC, follows a fictional character named Daniel and his life after the Pulse tragedy.
9 years after Obergefell versus Hodges, Jim Obergefell reflects on his journey. Community trailblazers also share their views on the impact of the Obergefell versus Hodges ruling.
Good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels. We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, that we have had more than 9 million views. Congratulations to everyone. It's Thursday, June 29, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens, unique in LGBTQ+ news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, is a non-profit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ+ community. Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of our queer culture, the Black community, Latino, lesbians and queer women, trans students, youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS, healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2024, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ+ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ and broader community.
Now let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Bad Papi. Bad Papi is a Latina gender fluid drag artist who redefines what it means to be trans and non-binary in the Latino community. Bad Papi is also the executive director of Reflect Collective, a nonprofit that serves QTPOC survivors of sexual and domestic violence. Bad Papi, Reflect Collective, will be opening its first 2024 cycle of QTPOC grant applications on July 1st. Tell me what's happening.
Yeah, so Reflect Collective, my nonprofit, is basically having a survivor grant cycle specifically for QTPOC survivors of sexual and domestic violence. Although anybody can apply, really.
Can you tell people what QTPOC?
So QTPOC is basically queer, trans, people of color, but we welcome all survivors to apply. We will be giving preference to QTPOC, but it's supposed to be a grant that goes towards anything that a survivor needs to survive. So food, rent, medication, legal fees, anything that they need, they can use the grant for it. So it's opening July 1st, 6 p.m. Please go to our social media at reflectco_, and apply.
Absolutely. That sounds fantastic. Thank you very much for doing that. And next, let's welcome anchor Buddy Frey. Betty Frey. I got in trouble for that. A long-time South Florida resident, he supports many of our local nonprofit organizations like Julian's Fountain of Youth and the Stonewall National Library and Museum. Welcome, buddy.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Nice to see you again. Sorry about that name thing. I'll get it one day. And next, let's welcome Andy Rogow. Rogow. He is the founder and artistic director of Island City Stage. Under his leadership, Island City Stage has garnered numerous Carbonell and Silver Palm Awards. Welcome, Andy.
Thanks for having me today.
So nice to see you. And last but not least, let's welcome Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 2 short story collections and 7 books of poetry. He's an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of print and online publications. Welcome, Gregg.
Hello, everybody. It's so good to be back at the table. And of course, this is tonight's lead anchor, Paul Thomas. He is currently a member of the LGBTQ+ Advisory Committee to the City of Miami Beach, one of the board of directors for the Point Foundation, and on the endorsement committee for SAVE. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, everybody. I'm looking forward to a fun evening this evening. And we are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. And this evening we begin with queer headlines. The LGBTQ+ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for Thursday, June 27, 2024. First this evening, let's queer up gay culture. Honoring June 28th as LGBTQ+ Independence Day, the early hours of June 28, 1969, mark a defining moment in the fight for LGBTQ rights. The Stonewall riots in New York City. It was not only a sentinel moment for Greenwich Village in New York, but the moment for America and the entire LGBTQ+ world. Before this uprising, being openly gay was a criminal offense in many parts of the United States, and individuals faced systemic oppression and discrimination. Being gay was considered a mental illness. The Stonewall Inn in New York City was more than just a bar. It was a sanctuary for marginalized LGBTQ+ community. When police raided this haven, they inadvertently sparked a fire that ignited a worldwide movement. 1 year later to the day, June 28th, the world's first gay pride parade took place. Called the Christopher Street Liberation March, it forever marked the importance of June 28th. A year later, the first gay pride parades were held in cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco, signifying the movement's growing momentum. These events now attract millions of participants globally each year, demonstrating the enduring impact of Stonewall. The Stonewall riots catalyzed the new era of activism and visibility. The impact extended to arts and culture, inspiring works that brought LGBTQ+ experiences to the forefront and challenging societal norms. The 1969 Stonewall riots were more than a clash with police. They were the spark that ignited a global movement for equality. It is so important to remember that these first moments of LGBTQ+ independence were largely led by trans, drag queens, and people of color at Stonewall. Their legacy lives on in laws and policies that have changed since that year, and the continued fight for LGBTQ+ rights worldwide. This year continues to build on the importance of Stonewall, and June 28th as the new National Monument Visitor Center will open at Stonewall Park, in front of the iconic Stonewall Inn. As Pride Month celebrations continue to grow, June 28th serves as a powerful reminder of the resilience and activism that continue to drive the LGBTQ+ community forward. And I have to say, in reading this story earlier, it just brings back so many memories. The first time even going down into the village and seeing and being scared out of my mind, because in the 80s you couldn't be out either and nobody could see you down there, and you had to sneak in the dark and hope that you didn't run into anybody. And to think about, you know, back then, them not even intending to set off a movement, right? They just had enough.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
You know, you push people to a point, and they didn't know it was going to turn into anything there. But I don't know. For me, that's like always a great thing to remember, that you don't know that action that you take to help. You don't know what it can turn into.
And what only a few people can do.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know, it
doesn't have to be thousands.
You're right.
Yeah.
There's just a few people in that bar that had enough.
Yeah.
Well, but those few people represented the whole community because,
Right.
I mean, even though we don't have the time to go into the history as in depth, you know, the bar itself was owned by mafia.
Right.
And because the mafia owned most of the gay bars, because
Right.
and they worked out an arrangement with the local politicians and the police to leave them alone. But the local police also warned the mafia, we're going to hit this bar this night and this bar and this night and this bar. So everyone knew the game. And the
Right.
people at the Stonewall that night were just tired of constantly being clay pigeon.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
only be picked on so long. And so it was
right.
that whole frustration about how many times do we have to go through this?
Right.
You know?
And why do we have to
And
go
why do we
Yeah.
have to go through
Right,
this?
right.
So it was a collective electricity of frustration, and it was just the Stonewall was the time and the place, and that was just
Yeah.
it. Bingo.
Yeah.
The breaking
It always,
point.
it was the breaking point, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
Well, I love that LGBTQ plus Independence Day, which has a great ring to it.
Yeah.
June 28th, I love that it's sandwiched in between Juneteenth and U.S. Independence Day.
Yeah.
3 significant holidays of liberation all lined up in a row.
Liberation.
June is my birthday and everything else that goes on in June.
That's the most important.
It's so exciting. I love June.
I do love that name. When they talk about the history of that time, they talk about the gay and lesbian activists. They
Alliance.
don't talk.
The alliance,
yeah,
right.
they don't talk. I mean, there was a definite. They had a whole mission to what they were doing, and that mission lives on today. Right?
I mean, let's talk about today, though, because I feel like Pride today has become very corporate, very superficial, very, like, it doesn't have the roots that it did before. And as, like, a younger person, obviously, like, in the table, you know, I've experienced very, very different things. Luckily, I didn't, I assume, face as much homophobia or transphobia that you all did growing up. But I still feel it, and even now with all the laws that are coming in the United States, all the transphobic, horrific laws that are being instated, I believe that we need to go back to our roots, and we need to keep fighting, especially for the trans and people of color in the community.
So I would just say to that, though, that, you know, back in the 70s and 80s, you know, most people couldn't be out at work. And when Pride became corporate, that was a huge thing. That was a huge victory, that corporations were actually recognizing us as employees, as consumers, and that we were a force to be reckoned with. And so for me, it doesn't bother me that Prides are corporate or corporate sponsored, because that was part of the fight to win their recognition.
I think what bothers me is that they put the rainbow logo, but they're not willing to fight for the rainbow right.
Wait. I disagree with that completely. As somebody who has been in the nonprofit industry on and off for 35 years, corporations, because you don't see the behind the scenes discussions and the negotiations and the proving who I am at the table, saying, you know, gay dollars represent X billions of dollars. And in the community of Fort Lauderdale, in the community of St. Louis, in the community of NYC, this is the power that we have, the position we have. It is very important that we, while it may not be easy, and yes, the rainbow flag comes out in June quite often, that doesn't mean the corporations aren't sponsoring us or aren't communicating with us.
But I think what we have to be very careful of, and it's interesting, I was watching a video just the other day from not Marsha P. Johnson,
Sylvia
Rivera. This is way back then.
Yeah.
And she said, I can't believe how corporate prides have become.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I gave you guys pride and you push all the trans people out. I don't have my rights yet. And you've already turned this into a straight pride with gay faces for money. She goes, why are gay people giving these people their money?
I don't appreciate
I
being
don't
monetized.
understand. Yeah, and this is a problem that we really have to be careful of, because us being seen as dollars is not acceptance.
And I understand that to a degree, but
Right.
it goes hand in hand. You
It
can't-
doesn't always go hand in hand.
Not necessarily. I want to be recognized for the humanity and not for the dollar signs that I contribute to a company.
And I understand that to a point, but we need the money.
We
grow
don't.
visibility.
We can get money different ways.
Absolutely.
I mean, right now at this point, when you go to Pride, where's kink? Where's leather? Where's gay people? There's no gay people. It's a bunch of corporations with their couple of gay employees throwing their merch at you, and there's no community.
So then you're
So what it used to be when it was the liberation movement was the freedom of expression of our
Yes,
community.
absolutely.
Gay people were in the street.
Then understand that
Right?
by doing that, we take it out of Wilton Manors. We close all the bar events because it's become nothing but it's become very alcohol driven, because we're there to support the bars and running down Wilton Manors. If you want that kind of event, you need to go to a park separate from the gay community.
Why?
Because if you're not wanting corporate dollars, then you don't want.
But those corporations
No,
will
that's
also
not what
be
I'm
at the
saying.
when they used to do it at, was it Holiday Park? When
Yeah,
they used
Holiday
to do
Park, you're right.
There were booths, there were bars that had booths.
But I'm
that-
just saying.
But you weren't.
no,
You didn't
that's
feel compelled
corporate. Yeah.
to support the.
See, and I'm equating from a nonprofit
No,
standpoint.
I just
a
said gay
business
people,
involved.
and you want to move it away from gay people. No, I want all the people that live in Wilton to be in the parade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't want
I
them
agree.
standing on the side and us just looking at corporate
But,
logos.
but have you
all
heard
day.
of anybody being prevented from being part of the parade? Because
It's very
there's no major
difficult. Oh
corporate
yeah,
sponsor
it's
of-
very difficult because you have to be able to afford it.
It's,
So there's
Yeah,
a
and
lot of gay organizations can't afford to be in
But
them.
that's also,
That's the
also, I think,
reality
because
of
it's a
today.
reality of the security that they have to
Exactly.
have now.
Yes.
You know how much more expensive it is to put on Pride.
Right.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Yes, it should be a little less
easy-
money.
Well,
but
just
no.
answer here.
just also as like a side reference, just because there are police there doesn't mean it necessarily makes LGBT people, especially those of color and those who are trans, feel safer.
No,
And I
that's
get
not
that.
at all.
I understand that, but I
That's
mean,
not at all.
my perspective again. I've seen the beginning stages. I've been through all the gay prides. I've organized those gay prides. I've had threats against us. My problem is we're finally making grounds towards battling politically for the trans community. We're battling for the youth because of all the book bans and all of the bans of the gay student groups. And we're finally getting towards helping for the first time publicly on a major collective push to help younger people and saying it's okay to come out. We have the resources. We just need to make sure that we need to go a little further. And that takes money. And right now the community is looking greatly at corporate dollars because a lot of money is held in those corporate powers. There's got to be a nicer mix to have it. But I'm just saying, people are talking about we can't have what is a family friendly. We're getting family rights. We have gay couples that have children.
No.
We can mix both
But
of
when
them.
but this is the thing. That environment was supposed to be a safe space for gay people. Many gay people don't go to prides anymore because they don't feel like it's for them.
Well-
Because they've made it for somebody's 5-year-old kid. That's not what pride is for. Pride is for gay expression, to feel safe,
Yeah.
a safe space for them for the
Well,
day.
it's-
If you want to walk down the street with a collar around your neck and your leather, and that's how
Well,
you.
But I would say, what's the solution though?
even
Because
some
what if the way you express as gay is being a family person? who
Then
has
come
three
then
kids?
come to pride.
So
Then
it's-
come to pride.
you know,
but when you
there has
tell
to be a
gay
middle-
people
a
that they
middle
have to
ground.
change when you tell them they have to modify their behavior
But
I don't see-
to an acceptable 1950s version
But I don't see-
behavior.
I didn't see that at Stonewall Pride this
I
year
don't
at all.
see that
I haven't
doing
been
that.
to stuff.
I didn't see it at all.
There you go. So that's problem
yeah.
one. But at the prides that I'm saying, I'm not seeing someone saying, "Papi, out of here."
I mean,
You're
they
not
might
saying
they
it.
might
No,
they might not
no,
say
no,
they
no,
might
No. You
Not
don't.
a pride.
You
At-
don't
at
see
Pride-
that, but
at
it's-
Pride, they
but
might-
It's stated.
they might not go
They
up
tell
to
you all
you
the time.
directly.
What does family friendly
So-
mean? Don't come as you.
Yeah.
Don't take your shirt off.
They didn't
Don't
say
come
that,
in. Don't come
Cher.
in here. Don't.
No,
They might not- they
that
might
was
not-
not the case
was
at
not the
Stonewall.
case.
That was not-
two
I
weeks
went to
ago.
I'm
Stonewall
telling you it was
Pride
not.
and I tabled is the thing, and I'm
Yeah.
a trans person. I did not feel safe there. I'm gonna be completely blunt with you. I didn't feel safe there. People looked at me like I was an anomaly. People looked at me as if I was
We have to be
weird.
careful. We have to be careful.
People even made comments, like to my colleague, like how beautiful they are, how amazing they are. They looked at me and they walked away. I'm not considered beautiful. I'm not considered welcome. You don't have to say, hey, you're not welcome because you're a trans person. There's other ways that people do that impact you and make you feel not welcome, if
But I
that
think
makes
that's
sense.
Sorry, that was.
So I think
sorry,
we have,
I think that's more
this
about our community in
conversation.
general.
It is definitely about our
Yeah.
community.
I think
but
this
at the-
conversation is what we need to be having more of.
Yeah.
Right.
So that we
In the
can make sure
community
we're
as
getting it
well,
right
yes.
and make sure, number one, that we're not disenfranchising
Yes.
actual gay
And I
lives.
agree, but
Because the number
something
one thing is
happens.
not the money. The number one thing is that person doesn't commit suicide that day. And every single year that I was involved with Pride, I met somebody who said, I came here to see if this was real and if there was a place
Yeah.
for me. And if this wasn't real, I was going to kill myself today. It's for that. I could really care less about the corporate dollars. We're creative people. We could find a lot of ways
I
to do
agree.
amazing things with
And we
very
used
little
to.
money.
I mean, that's
And
what we did in
have
the
to
beginning.
keep our
Yeah.
focus
Right, for sure.
in the right direction.
Right.
That's just my opinion.
No,
Go
I
ahead, buddy.
appreciate
Tell us what's next
So let's queer up politics.
before Steven yells at me.
You all knew this was coming. Former Congressman George Santos joins OnlyFans. Former Congressman George Santos has once again made headlines, this time for launching an OnlyFans account with a $29.99 monthly subscription fee. Despite initial speculation, this former congressman and drag queen clarified that his content on the platform will not include explicit material for now. Announcing this venture on Twitter, Santos teased his followers with promises of behind-the-scenes access to his latest endeavors. The post said, the moment you've all been waiting for, only on #OnlyFans will you get the behind-the-scenes access to everything I'm working on. See y'all there. Santos's move seems driven by financial motives. When his supporters reacted negatively, he defended his page, claiming he aims to provoke discussion. Santos said, quote, the OnlyFans is not adult content. I decided to go with OnlyFans because I wanted to stir the pot. Folks need to stop being so sensitive. His decision follows his history of controversial actions, including allegations of misusing campaign funds for personal expenses such as Botox and subscriptions to OnlyFans platform. This former congressman has also recently announced his plans to run for Congress again. So maybe he is planning to use OnlyFans for his campaign? And maybe he will bring back his drag queen persona, Katari Ravash? It will surely be entertaining to watch this anti-LGBTQ plus gay Republican politician in drag avatar. I'm speechless.
Here's something. Insert vomit emoji
Well, it's-
here.
Not just that, it's absolutely
You know,
asinine.
I just think it's funny that his supporters reacted negatively. What supporters? Like,
yeah.
who
Who's
supports
So,
George Santos?
all the subscriptions he has to OnlyFans makes sense now. He's following other politicians.
Yes. Yes. Next thing you know, Martha Annalito's going to have an OnlyFans page. Or Ginny Thomas. Could you imagine? Oh.
Or MTG.
I'm gonna be
but
sick.
I don't understand the purpose of this other than to get people's tongues wagging and to give him yet more attention.
Right.
He didn't need the first time around. So.
The only thing that bothers me in the whole story is the fact that he's actually allowed to run for Congress again. And you would think that after you get caught lying and you steal people's money and you do all these horrific things, and then you get kicked out.
I mean, look at Trump.
Donald
Hey,
Trump
you're
is
allowed-
running for
He's
president.
know.
now a convict.
No, these seem to be the only positions in the world that you really don't have to have
Republicans,
qualifications. You can kind of just do whatever you want to do. I hear, even though he was kicked out of Congress, that he still has access. Once you're in, you have access
Yes,
to
you have
everything.
lifetime.
You probably,
So like he can go in there and go to the gym and hang out with all
Well,
the.
but there's
all the-
legislation.
In the locker room, in the showers.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
sure.
what
There's
is going
legislation
on?
being created to, for someone who's been in this position, because he apparently is like the second person in the history of Congress to have this kind of a history. So there is legislation to at least take him out of the audience
good.
from now on.
Good.
But the fact that he's running for a second term is just, I mean,
It's just-
I'm just,
I I have to say, though, as someone who produces theater for a living, he's an amazing actor. I mean, literally, that he could get he could create the stories and keep it up and get all those people to vote for him. It's an amazing.
Either that or schizophrenic. I'm just.
Well, we are in a reality TV mindset.
Yeah,
That's true.
Come on, I think that's one. I think
The bar is low.
Yeah.
He's not doing what you do.
No.
Not doing Shakespeare. Yeah.
exactly.
Well, next up, let's queer up courts. Supreme Court affirms right to remove social media misinformation. So in a significant decision yesterday, the U.S. Supreme Court delivered a decisive victory to the Biden administration by overturning a lower court ruling that imposed severe constraints on government officials' interactions with social media companies like Twitter and Facebook regarding content moderation policies. The ruling, authored by Justice Amy Coney Barrett, and supported by a liberal conservative coalition of 6 justices, dismissed a case brought by individuals in 2 states in the South. These plaintiffs alleged that the government had coerced social media giants like Twitter and Facebook into restricting free speech online. However, Justice Barrett emphasized that the plaintiffs lacked legal standing and failed to provide credible evidence to substantiate their claims. Justice Barrett criticized the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals for basing its decisions on clearly erroneous factual findings. The Supreme Court's decision not only nullifies the lower court rulings, but also sets a stringent precedent for future challenges. It underscores that mere government criticism of online content is insufficient grounds for legal action. Instead, any challenge must demonstrate a direct causal link between government actions and the consequences on social media platforms. The ruling is expected to curb similar lawsuits in the future, marking a pivotal moment in defining the boundaries of governmental influence over online speech platforms. This decision is a huge warning to conservative, evangelical social media users who believe in spreading misinformation about the LGBTQ+ community, promoting hate and violence, and eventually hampering the democratic values of the country. So I was actually reading a little bit about this because I was more so wanting to know what the reasoning the plaintiff had for it. And they were basically saying that the government, basically influenced Instagram and Facebook to take down these things and set warnings, et cetera, et cetera. But it's interesting because the reason why they said it wasn't true is because the government only basically talked to Twitter and Facebook only after the fact that Twitter and Facebook had brought down those posts. So there was absolutely no evidence that the government was interfering at all with that.
Right.
So I just find it interesting that they're just kind of pulling things out of their ass. Don't mind my French, but
But further in the justice's comments was that she kept saying, "You're making what ifs, You're
Exactly.
looking into the future and trying to predict the future."
But there's no evidence. Is
Exactly,
Right.
and that's why she said you can't do that. And she also pointed out that misinformation needs to be marked in some capacity to educate the reader so they
Exactly.
don't take it.
Yeah, literally.
Exactly.
As
Right.
the Bible.
Just like in the COVID pandemic, when people were spreading major misinformation, they had to put those markers there because if not, people would be believing that Clorox actually
Well, the word that you use, spreading, is really the important word, right? Because misinformation is not accidental.
No,
Misinformation isn't getting a fact wrong by mistake. Misinformation is very intentional. And so then that gives the whole thing a whole different context. When you're intentionally telling people wrong information, putting lives at risk, what I always remind people of, because I work in healthcare, is we have millions of people who are on the spectrum. Everybody's not receiving these words that you're saying when you have these big platforms. Everyone's not receiving. Many people hear that and they take it literally. We had people walk into the clinic with burned esophagus.
wow.
Right?
Wow.
And so you have to be really, really careful. You should be responsible when you're out there. I'm happy for this ruling. I'm surprised, but I'm happy.
Well, yeah, especially coming from this court, from this SCOTUS now, if they can only do something about Martha Ann Baumgarten-Rolito, the she-wolf of the new SS. Shut her up.
Yeah. So what do you think, Andy?
So time to move on?
Yes.
Why not?
Okay, so let's queer up the USA view. New NYC musical From Here explores Pulse tragedy. New York City is set to witness From Here, a poignant musical that delves into the aftermath of the Pulse nightclub massacre in Orlando. Written by Donald Rupi, the production will have the opening night this Saturday during the weekend Stonewall celebrations at Off-Broadway's Alice Griffin Jewel Box Theater at the Pershing Square Signature Center. The musical will run through August 11th. The play centers around Daniel, a gay man in his 30s living in Orlando in 2016, navigating life and love amidst the tragic events of June 12th, when a gunman claimed 49 lives at the LGBTQ+ nightclub Pulse. Blake Aburn, who stars as Daniel in his off-Broadway debut, expressed that From Here intricately weaves Daniel's fictional narrative with the real-life experiences of Orlando residents during the shooting's aftermath. He also shared that the play isn't about the tragedy itself, but rather explores Orlando's collective response to grief and the profound impact of senseless gun violence on a community. Originally staged at the Orlando Fringe Festival in 2019, From Here is produced by the Renaissance Theater Company. The production aims to raise awareness and funds in collaboration with organizations like Equality Florida, offering a platform for Pulse survivors and affected communities to share their stories and advocate for causes close to their hearts. Tickets and further information on From Here are available at FromHere.com. Get ready to be part of an evening that honors resilience, community, and the enduring spirit of those touched by the Pulse tragedy. Sounds like something I should be producing.
Well, and of course, this is not the first time a tragedy from our community has been transformed into musical theater. I'm thinking about Max Vernon's The View Upstairs, which is about a musical about the horrific 1973 arson attack at the New Orleans gay bar, the Upstairs Lounge in the French Quarter.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that they've turned another musical out of this.
Well, I like, though, the fact that it's not centered around the actual tragedy and that it's centered around afterwards, how they're rebuilding. I'm getting a little tired of the word resilience because it seems like for people of color and LGBTQ people, we consistently have to be resilient. Like nobody will pass the law and just make us equal. We don't have to consist. You know what I mean? We always have to be resilient. It's like, do you have a choice? I mean,
No.
49 people were murdered. What are you gonna like?
What are you going to curl up into a ball?
You know what I mean?
No,
Right. But I do like that they're keeping the discussion going.
Yeah.
Hopefully more people are learning about it outside of Florida. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
And especially in this political climate, worldwide, we have a lot of hate, we have a lot of anger, we have a lot of misinformation about religion. I mean, we have, it's important that we always talk and always be present.
And
well, that's what theater does so well. It brings communities together to share stories.
Right.
And that's how we enlighten ourselves and how we are able to grieve together or learn together.
We need to find that common bond that we all have as the human community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also appreciate the dialogue with gun violence because as somebody who grew up, I guess, with, school shootings and, immense gun violence, it's kind of nice that they're having that conversation through art, which I think art can be a political and vessel for things that we need to discuss. So,
well, isn't that interesting? She just said, as someone who grew up, grew up with school shootings.
I know.
Grew up with school shootings.
I mean, Parkland happened when I was, I don't remember how young I was, but I think I was either late high school or early college. And my sister was actually in high school when that happened. So I was freaking the hell out. I was calling her, making sure she was okay. I mean, obviously, she was in a high school in Miami, but it's still very close to home.
Yeah, now every Broward school is going to have metal detectors. Right. That's so
we have a generation of kids
who grew up with,
and our response has been learn how to dodge bullets. Like nobody's done anything about the guns, right? They're like, well, this is a problem. Kids, learn how to dodge the bullets better. Learn how to fight the gunman.
Well,
this
they,
is
they,
not
not
really
only that, but they even suggested for the kids to bring guns to class.
This is
it's when the Second Amendment is more important than second graders. That's what it comes down to.
That's what happened.
Next, let's queer up social justice. Jim Obergefell shares 9th anniversary of Supreme Court marriage equality. 9 years ago today, the U.S. Supreme Court delivered a landmark decision in Obergefell versus Hodges, ushering in marriage equality for same-sex couples nationwide. This historic ruling not only transformed the lives of countless LGBTQ+ Americans, but also marked a significant moment in the ongoing fight for civil rights. Jim Obergefell, the named plaintiff in the case, reflected this week on this monumental anniversary with a mixture of pride and disbelief. In the exclusive interview with The Advocate, Obergefell shares, quote, "Every year, this anniversary reminds us of our journey towards equality and the continuous fight to protect what we have earned," end quote. Obergefell attended a Pride Month celebration at the White House Wednesday evening. John Arthur and Jim Obergefell married in Maryland in 2013 when Arthur was terminally ill. They couldn't register their marriage in their home state of Ohio due to non-LGBTQ+ friendly laws. When Arthur passed away, Ohio refused to list Obergefell as the surviving spouse on his death certificate. As a result, Obergefell sued. His case was consolidated with others from Michigan, Kentucky, and Tennessee for the Supreme Court hearing. The Obergefell ruling received praise and support from the LGBTQ+ community and trailblazers, including Kelly Robinson, president of the Human Rights Campaign. Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi also commemorated the anniversary with a social media post. Well, as someone who has married the same man 4 times. First, at the mass wedding in front of the IRS building during the 1993 March on Washington for lesbian, gay, and bi equal rights and liberation. Then, in a July 3rd, 1994 commitment ceremony in Chicago in front of 150 guests, including friends and family. Then again in a 2012 civil union. See how we're going with commitment ceremonies, civil union, all the steps. In Chicago with friends and family. And finally, when our civil union was transformed into a legal marriage in 2025, this anniversary is exceptionally meaningful to me and my husband, Rick. So, thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. You know, I just remember this idea of marriage. What I remember is, you know, it was to gain the rights that came with being married. And when I first started working in healthcare in the 80s and everyone was dying from AIDS and we were constantly telling partners, you're not family, you don't count, we can't listen to you, you can't go in the room, you can't make medical decisions, you can't. And it was like, and I remember getting screamed at by people who were like, I'm the only person in his life. What do you mean? Like, who else do you expect to be here? I've been with this person for 15 years. His mom's not coming. His dad's not coming. Like, it's me. Yeah. And legally, we couldn't do anything.
And that's an important part of this conversation because we have to keep reminding and we have to educate Bad Papi and every one of us that this is not a religious ceremony.
No.
Right.
The United States government, since its inception, the first moment they came over across, you know, and established the United States, legally, marriage was the following things. And because that word has been used 247 years, 40, whatever, you know, however many years, that's the reason why the word marriage is there. It's not because it needs to be a Catholic wedding, a Methodist wedding, a Jewish wedding. Right. It is a legal document.
Right.
The contract. And the federal government, since its inception, has used the word marriage in that term.
Right.
So we have failed in some degrees to explain to people that we are not trying to be blessed by the Pope.
Right.
It's nice that he likes us.
Sometimes.
It'd be nice if, sometimes it'd be nice if things were
when he's
better.
not saying the F word.
Yeah. We'll work on it. One step at a time. You want everything at once. It's like, gotta go step at a time. But I'm just saying, but the important thing here is that we have to continue to explain to people, marriage is not about religion in this moment. It is about the legal representation of that word for inheritance and hospitalization and healthcare.
And that goes along with our last story about the misinformation online, right? People get online and they start writing these things. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, that's not what this has nothing to do. You can go to church and you can do whatever you want. You can
be as spiritual as you want.
You know, that has
And our
nothing to do-
marriages aren't going to affect your marriage.
Well, that's the thing. Do you
Right,
remember when they used to
right.
say, "Oh my gosh, if they allow gay marriage, it's going to ruin marriage in
Institution
America"?
of all these
Yes,
people who
with
are
all these divorces, and
yeah.
straight divorces.
But the point of the matter is still the religious
The
community
legal-
is
the legal.
Yeah.
the religious community has
Right.
misinformed the
Yeah.
world that this
Right.
is about
Yeah.
religion, and it has
Right.
nothing to do with it.
And then the other important part is, just like we receive that, it can be taken away. And people need
yeah.
to
And it's a
really be
target.
aware. Yeah, people need to really be aware of who they're voting for. People have to really be aware of these judges that are in their local communities. People just have to be aware. You know, I'm really sorry to bother you guys. I was on this WhatsApp one day and they were like, we can't have any real discuss. Like, this WhatsApp is only for like the party. And I don't know if you want to go get a facial. And somebody wrote something real, like, don't forget to vote. And they were like, oh, we can't talk about that. You have to talk about it. You got to grow up.
Yeah.
That's why this
all
show
part-
exists.
Yeah.
Part of being an adult. These things are important.
Yeah.
Who gets in these positions
Yes.
controls our lives.
Well, and presidents appoint SCOTUS justices.
Well, right, and two Supreme Court justices have said that they want to see the case brought back so that they can,
that's right.
rule again.
If you see what they just did to women,
Yeah.
right? And 3 of them sat in front of Congress and
Yeah.
said,
They
I would
wouldn't.
never, and did it
Liars.
anyway. We're not far behind.
No.
And
No,
to
there's a
think that
target
we
on
are is just,
I feel like I definitely see this from a little bit of a different view, because although I'm happy that I do have the right to marry, an individual regardless of their gender, I also feel like, unfortunately, because I am polyamorous, I won't be able to marry all the people that I love, if that makes sense. So,
Well, that's a whole different issue beyond just the concept of marrying. That's polygamy, and until we can
well, it's actually
address-
it's more so polyamory, because I don't consider myself polygamous. I consider
well,
myself
you may not
polyamorous.
consider yourself, but the legal
but
term
the
is
marriage.
Yes, the marriage.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
this is all about legalities, and this is all about how the law reads today and definition
Right.
of the law.
No, I definitely understand that, but I guess there's something to be said that there's still, even though we have gained a lot of rights, we still have some ways
Can
to go.
we have to
people
remember
people do civil unions to more than one
No.
person?
No,
No.
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 Because a civil union is
legal.
reflected as a
Illegal.
marriage
Okay.
issue.
And not only that, but I think certain states still actually has that if you are with another partner while you're married, regardless of whether it's consensual or not, you can, one, it will like basically abolish the marriage, and 2, it could even land you in jail.
Really?
So we still have some ways to go regarding like certain identities, but it doesn't necessarily negate the fact that we did have these like victories, and we do have
right.
these.
And we
For
have
sure.
to continue them.
Yeah.
That's what I keep saying.
And protect
it's baby
them.
steps. It's
Yeah,
baby
exactly.
Steps, it's baby steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to keep moving forward. We can't be stagnant. We can't fall
And
back.
giant steps. Some people are out of time for baby steps.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we need to take giant steps.
And I understand that, but we're looking at a very diverse community where
Yeah.
there is no one answer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, her answer is
him,
There.
him.
him. I'm sorry. Apologize. I went.
know.
I'm a trans non-binary man.
Yes, man. You're right. And
You
I
should have told us
apologize.
that in the beginning.
I apologize. But I mean, his goals are not the same as your
Right.
goals,
Right.
as it is
Right.
our goals
Right.
or anybody's goals.
Right.
So that's the challenge of this community. That's why the table is so big, and finding that sweet spot for everybody is constantly moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why pride is so damn difficult.
I
to
think one
organize.
thing you're saying that's really important to remember, though, is that in moving forward, that all these things are changeable, right? If that's not working for you, then we can write a law to make it work.
Right.
These things aren't immovable. When people get all upset, like, oh my gosh, if you do this, what's going to happen to the earth is going to
they
fall off
literally
its
said
axis.
that
The
people
earth
are
is
going to
not
start
gonna
marrying
fall.
their dogs. And
Yeah. More misinformation. Yay, misinformation. Hooray.
Yeah.
So this is a
great
constantly
conversation.
rotating
Yeah.
challenge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, well, next we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International service at 10:30 a.m.
We finish tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up drag culture. Karen's Drag Queen Hotel Meltdown is Moms for Liberty, official, and detained by police. Beth Bourne, chairwoman for the California chapter of Moms for Liberty, was detained by police after an outburst at a Hawaiian hotel. Bourne had an epic meltdown upon seeing drag queens in the lobby. A viral video posted by drag queen Marina Del Rey captures Bourne's tirade, where she asks one of the drag queens about her gender and says, quote, "I'm not going to have my children come down from the 30th floor to see what's happening here, as they might think of becoming a drag queen and growing fake boobs."
I'm sorry, but I paid to be a customer at a hotel where I thought you believed that women were real. That because you put on makeup, because you're wearing high heels, because you have a Barbie outfit on, that you don't think this is degrading? This is misogyny. And we have a hotel. If you give me back my money right now, I will leave the hotel. Okay, let's go take but I'm not going to have my children come down from the 30th floor and see what's happening here.
Let's go take care of your reservation right now.
Yeah, no, this is completely degrading.
Okay, let's go take care of that right now. Come on.
I want to know what your names are because I'm going to share this.
Let's go take care of your reservation and have you check out.
Are you in the hotel? Are you dressed up? Are you a man? Are you a man pretending to be a woman?
I'm not pretending to be anything. I'm just dressed
What do you think about my son who might think that he can put on makeup and put on fancy clothing and high heels and have his penis cut off and take estrogen so he can grow fake boobs like those? Yeah, this is so degrading. I want to hear from the police, Jared. I want to know why I paid $3,000 to dressed up like women. This is degrading. Oh, you're smiling.
I am.
Tell me what your name is, sir.
Sorry, Mary Beth.
Tell me why you think it's okay to put on a clown costume and to do this to young children.
What's your room number?
My room number is 32554. It's under Mike Brown.
Let's go take care of that right now.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I want to talk to the police because I don't think this is right what's happening right here. I would like to talk to the police.
She just wants a free room.
Well, I think that video speaks for itself. Insanity is there.
The only clown costume I saw was what she was wearing.
Yeah.
Really? The way she was dressed? Beth Bourne? More like stillborn. This is a reminder, though. She's in California, from California. It's a reminder that California, like Florida, does have its shares of moms for lobotomies loonies.
She needs mental health. I mean, that was beyond. It was like, what is going on? Why are you not going on and living your life?
Yeah.
Why are you stopping in the middle of
But
a
you know what's
lobby
kind
and
of
attacking
disturbing
other
is
people?
no one at the hotel security actually stopped her or said, you know what, we don't accept harassment of any of our guests. You need to stop.
Well, I think they were waiting for the police to enter, but end of the day, she got what had coming to her. She was arrested.
Yeah.
So hate is hate, and we all acknowledge it. And she only made an ass out of herself.
That's it.
Bye, Karen. LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up trans rights. MrBeast blasts transphobes for friend Ava Tyson. YouTube star MrBeast defended Ava Tyson on June 22nd after transphobic comments targeted her ex-wife Katie Tyson and their son Tucker. Responding to a hurtful tweet by streamer Nick Merckx, MrBeast said, "Ava is literally always with her kid and doesn't even go on shoots to spend more time with him. Tuck man is always smiling, not sure why this rumor is a thing." I'm tired. I could care less about what transphobes say at this moment in time, to be honest. Like, they can spread and say whatever hate they want, and honestly it'll unfaze me because I know at the end of the day they're just living horrid, unhappy lives. So
That's right. I have a feeling that Nick Merckx is just another incel streaming from his mom's basement. And we are very grateful to have MrBeast on our side, for sure.
oh, absolutely.
Well, that's the part that sticks out to me is that he's got a huge platform and he's standing up, and we need a lot more people to stand up. You know,
Absolutely.
like, that's not acceptable.
And especially as a YouTuber, because he's basically influencing the younger population who consumes like YouTube. So.
Right.
Fantastic.
So we also have to support the ability to take down comments like that, to kill those
Yes.
comments as quickly as possible.
Yes. Agreed. And now we're going to LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Let's queer it up quickly. Celebrate July 4th at Pride Skate Nights. Celebrate Independence Day at Pride Skate Nights on Thursday, July 4th at Extreme Action Park. General tickets are $15, including entrance, skate rental, and festivities, while VIP tickets cost $25 with 2 free drinks. Enjoy roller skating, dancing to DJ T-Pro Mix, and performances by Velvet Lenore and Rihanna Patron. Tickets at hotspots.click/PrideSkate. That sounds like so much fun to me. I'm like, I want to go grab my rollerblades. It's just, I don't know about the drinking and rollerblading at the same
Yeah,
time thing.
me and skates are not compatible.
I know. My husband is dying to go to see, and I'm like, I'm going to fall and break my arm.
Just don't drink.
Right, yeah.
Honestly, I go just to watch the other professionals like skate
Oh.
because that's
Good.
that's
Fun.
really
Well, be
nice.
brave. Put on the skates.
Well, it does sound like fun. I wish I could attend, but I'll be at home trying to comfort my dog while the neighborhood assholes blow off fireworks.
Oh God, I feel that.
What a-
All right, LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. The queer vampires from Interview are coming back for season 3. AMC's acclaimed Interview with the Vampire has been renewed for a 3rd season. Starring Jacob Anderson as Louis de Pointelac, the series follows his transformation from a successful New Orleans hustler to an immortal vampire. The renewal announcement was made today, just before the season 2 finale, airing Sunday, June 30th. According to Deadline, season 3 will see Lestat starting a band and going on a sexy pilgrimage across space, time, and trauma with Gabrielle, Nicholas, Magnus, Marius, and others. Well, I'd go on that sex journey.
Well, I hope Louis finds the time in New Orleans to go and tear down all the 10 commandments that are being posted in the school.
I love this show. I watched
Yeah.
the first season. I was only able to watch the first episode of the second season because it's on some streaming service I don't have. But I'm looking forward to getting it and getting. Now this 3rd season though, this sounds a little jump the sharky. You know what I mean? It's like outer space sex starts to get like, okay,
I just hope it actually promotes people going back and reading the original book,
Right.
which
Yeah.
was so fabulous.
Or seeing the movie.
Or seeing the movie, yeah.
the movie. Yeah.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. Emotional message from Cher on the first time she met a gay person. At a promotional event at the Abbey in West Hollywood, Cher shared her lifelong bond with the gay community. She praised their unwavering support throughout her career's highs and lows. Cher also recounted her first encounter with a gay man when she was 9 years old. Here, take a look.
I want to congratulate actually Tristan for being part of this, for putting the Abbey into the future. So I think that's really cool. And I want to congratulate him for having Charlotte. It's the first pop-up. So happy Pride Month. Yes. Hasn't it taken a long fucking time? I've told this story before, but the first gay guys I ever met, I was 9 years old, and I walked into my house, and there were these 2 guys there, and they started talking to my mom and my mom's best friend, and I was thinking, where have they been hiding these guys? I'm 9, but I thought, I've never seen, no, wait a minute, who are these guys, and why aren't the other guys as funny as these guys? So it was really love at first sight. And the one thing I have to say that's serious, that it was from my heart, was that I've had really ups and downs in my career. I mean, really. And you guys never left me.
Well, we are forever grateful to have Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee Cher on our side.
Can I say she never ages? Like this woman, like she looks so good. How old is she?
70?
Probably close to
74?
80.
Wow.
Oh, she's closer to, she might be
close to
actually.
80, yeah.
She's wonderful.
Good plastic surgeons.
Her and Dolly Parton, and aren't they all like 77?
They're in their 70s.
Yeah, wow. Oh my gosh.
Well, you know, Cher is one of those personalities, one of those human beings that has this force of personality that on her own, she helped our community out a lot.
Absolutely.
You know, on her own, her ability to see us for who we were and to accept us 100%, and for there to she never wavered from that and spoke up and spoke out from back in the 70s, from back in the 80s, from before we even knew. You know, she's one of these people like a Bette Miller who were like, keep going, like go out there and get your rights. Don't let them push you in the corner.
She was also human in the fact that when Chaz came out,
she had a hard
transition. She acknowledged the humanity of it all, the confusion, and the anger, and the frustration, and the love, and the, you know, she showed every emotion which every family that has a trans child or a gay child goes through.
Yeah.
So she, I mean, even though she's had her rough patches personally, she's acknowledged who she is, and she's acknowledged who we are. Yeah. And that's why we've loved her so. Even in the 70s when she was dying as a career, you know, and she was in Las Vegas, which at that time was not a place to be, you know, the gay community was there because we loved her and we realized the energy and the love that she had.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Paul Thomas, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Bad Papi, Buddy Frey, Andy Rogow, Gregg Shapiro.
Rogow.
We will see you daily at 8 p.m. to our LGBTQ plus world. We wish you a good
Good night.